Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Managing Partners Podcast. This is Kevin Daisey, your host. And today I have Sally McDonald coming out of Rhode Island. And she's here to share some cool stuff today about networking and personal skills, business development. And excited to learn a lot from her and how you can apply it in your firm. So, Sally, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, Kevin, thank you so much for having me. I've just been listening to a lot of your podcasts, and you get amazing guests and have amazing conversations. So I'm just flattered to be on the list.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm always looking for this. It's all about the guests and finding the best and brightest I can, but also just different experiences, different stories. And we all have a story. I think most people are like, I don't have much to share, but you'd be quite surprised. So I find.
Do you remember if am I your first Rhode Island attorney?
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh, darn. I'll have to listen to the.
I don't have a ton. Maybe Providence. I had a gentleman on. They have a couple locations like Boston, Providence, but you might be my second.
I'll take it.
If you go to the website, you can search by state and see if there's any Rhode Islands on there. I'll have to check later.
Excellent. I will do that.
Maybe I'm wrong. So, but Sally, so tell us a little bit about yourself and your background. How you're the managing partner of your firm, and just give a little background on yourself and how you got into this business, and then we'll get into more about the firm too.
Sure, absolutely. So I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin, go Badgers. And when I was in 8th grade, my classmates voted me most likely to be a lawyer in the yearbook. And at the time I was devastated because I thought, wait, the other options were like rock star or actress. And, they think I'm going to be a lawyer. This is horrible. Clearly they think I'm a loser, but they
were right.
Yeah, they were right. Although I didn't accept that for many years after that. I ended up on the East Coast because I went to Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut. And a girlfriend of mine from there moved down to the beautiful beach town of Newport, Rhode Island after graduation and said, I need a roommate. And without a job, I basically said, okay, sure. And I've been in Rhode Island ever since. So kind of random, but I love this state. I've had a wonderful time here. In my 20s, I was actually in the hospitality business. I worked in restaurants and managed restaurants, managed nightclubs, managed the offices for 2 restaurants. And while I was doing that, I saw an ad in the paper, which definitely dates me a little bit, like an actual newspaper, that said they're looking for a paralegal. And so I ended up going to work as a paralegal. And then I said, okay, the 8th grade classmates were right. This is what I want to do. I like it a lot. So I went to Roger Williams University School of Law, the only law school in Rhode Island, great school. And in law school, I clerked or interned for my current law firm. So I started from the very beginning with this firm, Cameron and Mittleman. And then I went and worked for a judge for a year. I clerked for a judge and came back to Cameron and Mittleman for several years before I was stolen away for more money. So I found out the hard way that money is not everything. And although I had some great adventures in the interim, ultimately ended up back at Cameron and Mittleman. In the meantime, I worked primarily for 2 firms. One was really cool because it was for a celebrity attorney based out of Los Angeles. I ran his Rhode Island office and got to work with some cool celebrities. Yeah, which was awesome. But ultimately, my heart was really back with Cameron and Mittleman and the relationships I'd made there, my partners. So I've been back now for 5 years, just before COVID, and I love it and very honored to serve in the role. My specialty is business litigation, and it's a big umbrella term, but I also do employment litigation, estate and trust litigation, construction litigation, basically fighting in court over business-related issues. And my firm has a litigation department, but also a corporate department and an estate planning department. So we are sort of a business-based law firm.
Yep. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Appreciate the little information about the firm.
Sure.
And I got the web address actually right here. So it's cm-law.com. So it's cm-law.com. If you're listening in the car, if not, it's on your screen at the bottom. So you can check out the firm. You can check her out as well, and connect with her there if you need to. So today I got with Sally the other day, and it's like, what do we want to talk about? And I do this. If you've been on the show, you've probably got a similar meeting with me, and just kind of looking, hey, what can we bring to the table? What can our audience learn from you? And most of my guests, just like Sally, have lots of things that they could share. But Sally kind of hit on a couple of things like, hey, I think these are important, and we were talking about remote working and networking. Networking really came up, and she said, she feels strong about networking and the importance of it within a firm, not just for the lawyers, but associates and other staff, and them learning and growing themselves professionally. And so I was like, I love it. Let's dive into that. So I want to kind of talk about that. So, Sally, you said you kind of had a couple different ways that you look at this, and maybe 3 different angles to come from. So let's just jump
Yeah,
right into that.
absolutely. Yeah. So I really, that's one of my soapboxes I get on, the importance of marketing and networking. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's a business. Law is a business, like many others. And for marketing the entire firm, it's very important to engage experts like yourself that can help us with the big picture of advertising our firm as a whole. But I also really think that lawyers within a firm need to take personal responsibility for their individual brand, getting out there and networking themselves. And I think particularly post COVID, and well, really even before that, I think it really has to be a combination of both in-person and online networking from my perspective. So I have kind of the 3 main things that I focus on that have worked for me. And everybody's different, but the three things I really focus on from a networking perspective would be serving on nonprofit boards, being in organized networking groups, and then also engaging meaningfully on LinkedIn. So in terms of nonprofit boards, I really think you can meet amazing people by being on these boards, and mostly those are in person, although more and more there's Zoom meetings for these boards. For example, last night I went to an event for the Providence Public Library. I've been on that board for many years, and I met some new people in Providence that I'd never met that were just amazing. And I thought, wow, I'm so glad that I'm involved in this, because not only is it a good thing to do just in general to help nonprofits, but also I think you can really get your name out there. So I think that's more like a soft marketing. I don't go in there, giving out my business cards or anything like that, but people get to know you.
It's
But
authentic. You just talk to people.
Yeah, exactly. The organized networking groups, though, are a little different in the sense that I like the fact that everyone kind of gets why you're there. It's no secret. Okay, we're here because we're trying to get business. So you can engage a little bit more, a little differently. People will ask you, who are good referral sources for you? What do you do? Yeah, how can I help you? And I'm a member of one called USA 500 that I was thinking, Kevin, I'd love to get you into as well. It's primarily lawyers and finance people, and then people who support lawyers and finance people like yourself, specializing in digital marketing for lawyers. So it's an amazing group. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you would love it. The group is so amazing. Really wonderful people. And it really starts from building relationships as people and then trying to help each other. And then work just comes organically, really, from that. And I would say the bulk of my book of business is probably from that organized networking. So I run a chapter of that's totally virtual, which I think is a little bit different than a lot of networking groups. But as you and I have discussed, it's, that's the way the world's going. You have this great company with people all over the country and customers and clients all over the country. And so you can really expand your reach beyond just who you can drive to, right?
Yeah, 100%. And to your point, nonprofit boards have always been very great for me. I've had a lot of, been on quite a few myself, still sit on some now, and I've met some of the best people through that. And not just clients, but, people that refer you or go, hey, Kevin does that or whatever, just getting out and talking to people, doing good things in the community is going to lead to good things. Just the way it's going to work. So I think that's a great idea.
Absolutely. I remember from listening to some of your other podcasts that you prefer networking not in formalized networking environments. So it sort of depends on one's taste. It can be, you don't, I think our group focuses on a rule that there's no direct solicitation. So it doesn't become just like everyone's trying to sell you when you get together. It's more about getting to know people. But I understand your feelings on that.
Well, I mean, just in my local area, there's lots of different kinds of groups. There's some that are like intentional, like I'm going to go to Sally and I'm going to tell Sally what I do. I'm going to give her my card and I'm going to walk. It's like almost like speed dating type of stuff. Some people might like that or whatever. There's some that are very no agenda, nonchalant. Everyone's just like chatting and hawking, and there's really none of that at all. And just things happen naturally. And then you have like the nonprofit where you're there to help the nonprofit and talk about that, and say you had a gala or a dinner. There's, you're naturally networking and talking to folks, but that's not why you're there. And so I think all those things can have a place, and especially if you're new at business or starting a new law firm, get out and try that stuff out. It's, all of it's going to be helpful, especially getting used to just talking to people, and maybe it's not your comfort zone. And I'll kind of get into that maybe at the end, but we were talking about that, Sally, about just being able to talk to people in person and not behind the screen, and having doing it often enough to where it is comfortable,
Absolutely. I think just doing both is so important. You don't want to lose your skills of dealing with people in person. And for example, as we discussed with my networking group that I run a virtual chapter monthly, I also try to make a point when possible to meet these people in person, because that can really solidify a relationship. So then when you see each other again online, you have a deeper relationship. There's just something about seeing someone face to face. And I think that that's one thing I try to impress upon, younger attorneys, is just that work just is not going to just fall in your lap. It's something that you have to get out there and try things. And you might find that you enjoy one thing versus another, and there's no necessarily right way to go get business. But, maybe you enjoy being on a particular nonprofit board because of what it focuses on. And then that's where your business comes from. But you have to try different things. And as you said, not lose your people skills as we're behind computers all day.
Yeah. Or if you're a young attorney and, other than going to college, you haven't developed those, or maybe it's not your strong suit. But as an associate, you're just doing the work, and you're, can you build in some time after hours, or will the partners let you take an hour a month or a week to go network, to build that up and start to prepare to be a partner at some point? But I think, it's for associates to not do that at all. And then they're expected as a partner to bring in business, and they're like, oh, okay. I got to start from scratch. So
Right.
I think, a firm, if you can build it into your culture and like, hey, we want you to build up relationships and succeed. That's something you should definitely think about versus build time.
No, I so support that. In fact, I probably irritate my associates telling them to join boards and get out to networking events. But it really is, I look at it as an investment in the future, and even just for myself. So as a litigator, it's not like when I go to an event, it's very often I meet someone who says, oh yeah, I just got sued today, or like, I want to sue someone today. Very often the connections I make, I find it might be 5 or 10 years before someone has a need for me, that they have a business lawsuit, or that they have to deal with a business fight. And so for me, it's just get out, enjoy people, let them get to know you, try to help them where you can, because people always appreciate that. Stay in touch, and then the work comes later. So you might be a first-year associate, and you might not be responsible for bringing in any work, but the work you put in now might pay off 10 years from now.
Sure, absolutely. Another thing, all the referrals, how it all works. I mean, is if you get a lot of referrals now, you think back where they all came from. It's from putting in the work, it's from being out and talking to people. It's I know for me, it's for clients that didn't go with us. And I've always been like, hey, they didn't go with us, but a lot of them come back a year or two later. Yeah, we went with someone else, but it didn't really work out. Okay, cool. Let's talk. And so I always know they're still in my pipeline, kind of, right? They might come back. They might refer us to someone else. I've had that happen too. But it's just, you're broadening your base. You're talking to lots of folks. You're being authentic. You're working on your personal brand. Like, you put that out there, whoever you are. And again, it will come back to you. So
For sure.
yeah,
I think
you get behind the screen too long and you're just working, and if you're forgetting to put time and energy into this kind of stuff, it could hurt you later. So
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to, when you mentioned personal brand, I wanted to bring up something one of your guests said, was a personal injury attorney from Atlanta, I think, named Jennifer. I can't remember her last
Jennifer
name.
Gore.
Yeah, she was
I
great.
tell Jennifer, I'm like, I refuse to say your whole last name because I always get messed up. So I just like, Jennifer Gore, we're going with that. So if you're listening,
It's not just me then. Good. Okay. Don't know her last name, but she said something that I thought was so cool. She said, I work hard on my personal brand, and not everybody likes it. And she said, but if everybody likes your personal brand, it's probably too vanilla. Maybe it's better to have a few people not enjoy your brand, but actually you're more memorable, right?
At least they know where you stand.
Yeah, absolutely. I find so that kind of goes to my third way I really work on my personal brand is on LinkedIn. We discussed this earlier as well. I really don't actually put out that much content myself. It's really mostly reposting posts that my firm puts out, right? So, but what I do is I really engage with it. I really go on and read people's posts. I like their posts. I comment on their posts, and then I'll get comments from people saying, "Oh, you're all over LinkedIn," and I'm just saying, I'm just engaging with it. That's all I'm doing. And I notice you. Not only do you put out tons of great content, but you also engage with it. I see you liking posts and commenting on posts. And I think that if you use LinkedIn that way, it's a lot more meaningful than, there's, it's kind of human nature, right? There's certain people where I'll like their posts and they never like anything I post. And I think, well, I don't feel like liking their posts anymore. It's sort of silly. It's ridiculous. But I mean, that's how humans are. We like it when people engage with us and are interested in what we're doing as well.
I think it's a good point, especially with LinkedIn. So obviously, in-person stuff, you got to mix that in, and I enjoy that kind of stuff. Although I don't get to do it too often, I try to mix it in. And with LinkedIn, you're behind a computer, but LinkedIn's kind of like the events where you at least know people are there to talk about business, right? So versus like Facebook or Instagram, like at least on LinkedIn, we know it's about business, so at least we know, right? And so I think that's what makes LinkedIn so cool. And to your point, yes, if you ever like or see a post where it says at the top, Sally McDonald liked this post or commented on this post, I'm not connected to the person that posted. She liked it. She engaged with it. But I see that, and I see her name pop up everywhere. To your point, that leads me to go, all right, well, what post did she like? And then I don't know them. I'm not connected to them. And I might say, oh, let me follow and connect with them. And so you got to be in the comments. You got to like it. You got to reshare it. People love when you're people love when you reshare their stuff. I thank every single person when they reshare my stuff. I'm like, hey, thank you so much for reposting that. Like, they didn't have to do that, but they must have found some value in it, I guess. So
absolutely.
But that right there will get you a lot farther than just posting a dumb post every day that people might not see.
Yeah, just you add so much value with this podcast. I mean, it's the ones I've been listening to. There's so many interesting topics around trying to manage a law firm, and you really have hit a lot of them. And you can just get great information and content on LinkedIn if you're looking for it. People share some great stuff.
I love just opening up every morning and checking things out. And but to your point, I see the people that engage, and that's why I see the posts I see. And
that's how we met.
That's how, yeah, exactly. So if you're on LinkedIn, instead of like trying to go, what can I post about today? And like, that's all you do. Just engage with the people you follow and that you want to engage with.
Exactly.
If you're a business attorney, then it's other business owners in your local area. So
absolutely.
Good strategy for sure.
Thank you.
I was going to say, I went to a networking event in person that I was invited to. So I have 3 different kind of brand companies. array is the only thing I work in. I'm the face of, I guess. So, but my business partner and another partner of mine was like, "Hey, we're going to this networking event." And I'm like, "Oh, I've always wanted to go to that. I know a lot of people there, but I'm out of that networking kind of group space because I work with lawyers and it's just local." And I was like, like, come on, let's go. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I threw on a t-shirt and a hat and went down to this event at the ocean front. So we have like an ocean beach front here. And I was like, there's definitely no lawyers there. Hat, t-shirt, roll down. First person I walk up to, a lawyer who happens to be a prospective client. It's the other partner it's the partner I've never met. I'm talking to the other partner. And so we sat there and talked for a while and had a great conversation. And there I was being like t-shirt, hat, whatever. He didn't care. I was just being myself. And they're probably about to become a client as we're speaking. But I got to engage with the other partner, which, the other partner's having to talk to the other partner about us and talk him into working with us. So it was just a rare opportunity. Then I saw a lawyer client of ours. And then, I wasn't expecting any of this stuff. And so it just happened, but just because I was going to go to this event. So, and then I saw about 1,000 of the people I knew. They were like, "Hey, you're doing law firm stuff." And they all knew. I just haven't seen them in person in forever. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. Well, it's a bit of good luck with running into the exact person you wanted to talk to. But I do think that the ultimate rule is that people tend to want to give business to or refer business to people they like. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. I mean, given a choice, I mean, it's the same thing. You go to a dentist. I mean, it doesn't hurt if you like the guy and he talks to you about what you're interested in. I mean, it's just you want to give business to people you like. You might tolerate people, otherwise. But so I think going to networking events with no expectations is really key. That, and maybe I've just gotten used to it because, like I said, people aren't just hanging out with lawsuits ready to hand them to me at these events. So I just kind of go with zero expectations. Try to, I actually enjoy people, so I enjoy talking to people, get to know people, and then through that, you just never know what's going to happen. It turns out, like they know someone who's thinking of hiring you, or they are a person who's thinking of hiring you, or they just sort of generally getting a reputation out there is important, particularly if you're in Rhode Island, such a teeny state. If there's 6 degrees of separation in other states, it's like 1 degree of separation here. So it's very, very key to be the person people think of for a certain profession, because we kind of joke, it's like a got a guy state, like everybody's got a guy who does something. And if you're not anybody's guy, nobody's going to be sending work to you, right? You have to know people and be out there. And it takes,
you want to be the guy that's got all the guys, right?
Right. Exactly.
Oh, Kevin, he's got them all. He knows everybody.
Yeah.
So, or gals.
Right. Well, that's actually a great point too. Being the person who, even if someone calls you and when they don't need someone who does what you do, but they know Kevin knows everybody. He's like so connected. I know I can call him and he'll refer me to a lawyer or whoever. He probably knows.
CPA,
CPA, anybody. That was one thing I was thinking of, offering to any of your listeners, is that if anyone ever needs anything in Rhode Island or Massachusetts, I know a lot of people. And even if you don't need a litigator, but you just are like, I need help with, I need a CPA, I need a family law attorney. Happy to help anybody who's looking for connections in Rhode Island or Massachusetts.
Yeah. So I think that's a good point here to make is if you're an associate or a lawyer running your own firm, it doesn't matter what, huge firm, or if you're just starting a small firm, be that person that people go, I can call them. They have somebody. I bet they know somebody. And then whether or not they're not thinking about your business at that point in time, but they're definitely going to refer you or mention you many, many times if you can become that person. And so that's not something you do overnight. It takes time. You got to build trust with people. But start earlier. You can do it, the better. And be that person, right? That people can trust and go to.
the quarterback is how I like to think of it, that being a sports fan myself, but for many of my clients, I like to be the quarterback where they call me. My best client just reached out to me this morning and said, like, hey, my kid, wants to open this kind of business. Who should I talk to? And, I happen to have someone in my firm, but even if it's not someone in my firm, he knows he can always call me as the person who can quarterback it and throw the ball to the person who's going to run with it and do the work that needs to be done for that person. So that's a valuable role to try to get into if you possibly can.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, I had Chris early on recently, and we were talking about being authentic, and with Jennifer Gore, we're talking about your personal brand and being real and authentic, not trying to make some crap up. And if you want to be like a lawyer, you want to act tough and be like, we're tough and we're gonna fight for you and all this stuff. It's like, is that really you, or are you like a nice, likable person? If you're nice, if you're a nice, likable person, be that instead.
Yes,
because I don't want to hire someone that's rough around the edges and tough. I might not want to call them.
Well, that's funny. I absolutely agree. So being from the Midwest, naturally my disposition's pretty friendly. I like to joke around a lot. And I completely disagree with this idea that you have to be a jerk to be a good lawyer. In fact, I think that particularly in a small state like Rhode Island, I'm always polite to opposing counsel, to a fault probably, except for that if I'm in front of a judge, that's when I fight. If there's no third party there, why am I going to be a jerk to someone or, yell at someone on the phone? And frankly, when people do that to me, I'll just hang up on them because I don't put up with opposing counsel being rude to me, because there's no reason to be. Unless they're pulling some dirty trick, I think all attorneys should respect each other. And I think that if somebody wants an attorney who constantly plays the role of the bulldog, that's fine. Maybe that's not me, but I have a lot of clients who, really adore how I am. So you attract different clients with your own personal brand. I don't have to be for everybody, right? You don't have to be for everybody. Not everyone has to like us. It's just making sure we appeal to some good clients.
Well, exactly. And I think that's the whole point is, being real. So yeah, if you are the bulldog and just naturally you are that way, then great, lean into that, use it. People will call on you and they're like, you know what, who can get this done? It's this person. But if it's not you, just don't try to be like that, because say your marketing is all like bulldogish, and then they meet you in person, you're like the sweetest, nicest person in the world. It's like, okay, it's not matching up. So just lean into what you are and be yourself and
I think
talk to people. So
people have said to me more than once, many times, that I seem too nice to be a lawyer. And I joke and I say, well, yeah, you think that until I'm like taking your deposition or I'm arguing with you in court. I have a whole other side of me that I could pull out when I need to. And really at the end of the day, for litigation's about getting results, right? And so results could be resolving the case before you have to spend a bunch of money litigating, or it could be, convincing a judge of something. But at the end of the day, I find that being a civil person who's nice to people accomplishes way more than being a jerk. In fact, some of these bulldog attorneys, when they aggravate opposing counsel, they just drag out the case and make it more expensive to litigate, honestly. I think it doesn't match with what people see on TV, but I'm completely convinced that the best way is to be polite to people. I have my mentor is my partner, Justin Shea. He's an amazing litigator, and he's just the ultimate gentleman. I mean, 100% of the time. And he's so respected by judges. He's so respected by his clients. And I've seen him get mad when he has to in court and get mad when he has to in a deposition. But why lead with that? You don't have to.
Well, they probably know when he gets mad, there must be.
Yeah, absolutely. I tease him. I'm like, ooh, when he gets his Irish up, it's like, just back away, because he's you have it coming if you made him mad, basically.
That's funny. So great tips here for folks, especially new attorneys, associate attorneys, or I mean, if you've been running a firm for 20 years, and you've lost that networking piece of it, or you haven't continued to keep those referral relationships going or find new ones, really. you might rely on a couple of referral sources for years, and you haven't really been out to build new ones. So I think it's super important. And I'm in a marketing company for law firms. Yeah, you should hire me and market, but you get referrals are the best, and you got to continue to work on that all the time. So
Well, that it goes together because so I meet someone at a networking event and I say, "Oh, I'm Sally McDonald from Cameron and Mittleman," and then because of professionals like yourself, they say, "Oh, I know the name Cameron and Mittleman. Where have I seen that before? Oh, it popped up here. It popped up there." And so it goes together that the name recognition, keeping your name out there, has to be done both on behalf of the entire law firm and individually.
sure. And then if you can take it a step further and you can speak at those events, or
Mm,
do things to get a bigger audience and get your name out there and get a bigger platform, then just always staying, you know, one-on-one meeting people and things like that. So look at all the opportunities that are out there in your local market, or nationally, depending on what your practice is. Um, but you gotta get out of the office every once in a while. So
I totally agree.
and not just at court. That doesn't count.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny these days. There's so many remote hearings that a lot of
Yeah.
times I don't even get out of the office to go to court, which I think is going to be a great disservice to young lawyers. That I used to go to court and sit around all morning watching other lawyers argue. And now, if I have a hearing, I log in on Zoom, it's over in 15 minutes. I didn't hear anyone else argue. Might be
That's a
okay
good
at
point.
my
Yeah.
level.
That's a good point. I mean, and plus, like, well, you used to go to court a lot, and now you don't have to barely go at all. So I don't have to go anywhere anymore. And so then you stop going to anything, and maybe you don't go to networking. Maybe you drop off the boards that you're on, and then you're just, next thing you know, it's 10 years later, and you're like, my referral sources have dried up. I don't have any marketing. I haven't put myself out there, and maybe your situation changes.
Yeah, I
Um,
think that was a big problem for a lot of people after COVID. Even this sort of vague anxiety when I started going back out in the world, like back to the office, and I'm like, why am I having anxiety going to the office? This is silly. But I think
I
COVID
used
really
to.
did make us close up a little bit. Um,
Yeah, I totally agree. So I think that's the message here. Yeah, get out. Networking is very important. Still has more now. I think even more now, with all this remote stuff and getting comfortable behind your screen. I think that'll help set you apart, especially if you're an associate. I think I was telling you, Sally, in the beginning, like I was just on a recruiting podcast earlier today that will come out at some
right.
point, but we're talking about AI and remote work and replacement of people from different automations and AI and stuff. Being a good person that can communicate with people, especially in person, is going to set you way apart from others. And so that's something that it can't be replaced. And
Absolutely.
say a law firm's like, you know what, we're going to only hire one associate instead of five like we were going to. Um, who wins, right? I only
Mm,
hire the best people, the good people that fit my culture, not the brightest or the most skilled every single
absolutely.
time.
Yeah, it's the
So
what's the line they say? It's hire for attitude and train them. And
there
I
you go.
completely agree with that. And yeah, artificial intelligence, I think it's incredible what it can do, but we were talking earlier about EQ versus IQ, and having an emotional quotient it's probably a long time until AI can master that, sort of knowing how to read people and interact with people. So if you have that EQ, which you ke- some of it's natural, but a lot of it's just practice, right? Interacting with different kinds of people, you learn how to deal with different kinds of people. And certainly learning how to market and network is not something that as a brand new attorney you understand how to do in this market. It's definitely something you have to learn. And personally, it's not like I took classes. I just did it from trial and error. Some people, things work, some things didn't. You just keep trying.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think you get out there and learn it yourself, and you're not going to learn it in a class. Not
No,
enough to be good at it. That's for sure. So,
right,
well,
right.
no. So I love it. I appreciate you sharing today with kind of the different things you've seen and how things are changing and remote work and the challenges of it. But if you get out there and start talking to people and meeting people and networking, it'll do wonders for you. And you're going to get referrals from people, and they're going to like you. If they like you, they're going to refer you. Just like that, you mentioned the dentist. You might be in the dentist chair, and the dentist can be a complete asshole, but he's doing your teeth, and you're like, whatever. But are you going to refer him any work? Probably not. Like, he did
Right.
his job. I was there at the time, but I probably won't go back, and I'm definitely not referring him. So, you know,
Right.
so you got to think about
Yeah.
those kinds of things.
I think you
So,
made an excellent point about it. It does come, from the top also, that you have to, as a managing partner, make it clear this kind of networking and marketing is encouraged strongly, and we really appreciate you doing that, because that's an investment in the future of the firm.
sure. Yeah.
I hope that all the associates I work with are my partners one day, and so I always try to encourage them to do so.
Yeah, the firm will benefit, especially if everyone in the whole firm is out just networking and meeting people and doing their own things for their own agendas. Maybe it's, like you said, a personal attachment to a nonprofit, but you're involved. And what do you do? Oh, I work at this law firm. I'm the admin, or I'm the receptionist. It doesn't matter. you're you're able to speak about the firm, and that'll help the firm. So if you have all your staff, you know, just engaged with
Hmm.
people, it will benefit the firm at some degree. We have incentive plans for everyone on my team. If they get a referral, or if they're talking to a client and they say, "Hey, you really should think about having this other service that we do," they get bonuses for everything. And so they're
Yeah,
not
that's a great idea.
selling. I don't want them selling. I want them recommending, or asking them around. Hey, oh, my brother owns a law firm. Cool, refer him to our firm. Well, you'll get a bonus. So I just want to equip everyone to be just thinking, but also they're building a skill that they can take if they leave here.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. That is a skill, really learning to listen when people are talking for opportunities, and not just necessarily for yourself, but, for even um, people like to refer work who, refer work to them. Right. So oh, you need a family law attorney. Okay. I know a great person, and that comes back
Yeah,
around eventually, but you have to listen for those cues of, oh, I'm really fighting with my spouse, or whatever the cue, whatever the cue is. I guess that's an obvious one.
yeah,
But
yeah. Well, I mean,
what
that's
I
how
mean.
those people. The person's like, oh, he's got a guy. He's got a guy for that. Like
Mhm.
that's how those people become those people. They're they
Right.
listen, and they're like, oh, do you need I can hook you up with someone for that.
Hmm.
And those are the people that everyone knows and everyone calls. So
Right.
yeah, so
Well,
easier said than done. You got to get there and work on it.
well, you're doing a fantastic job with knowing a lot of great people, and really providing a service to people who are involved in management at law firms. So thank you so much
I
for doing
appreciate it.
this. It's really fantastic.
Well, I think it's always say, like, I run companies, and I pretend we're not even talking about a law firm. So
Hmm.
I learn right alongside everybody else, and try to share what I can too. So it's beneficial to me to have this conversation, regardless if it's recorded or distributed at all. So
Right.
and yeah, this has been awesome. But when I started this, I didn't really have a clue. Didn't definitely think we'd have 300 episodes or more, and it's led to a lot of great things. So
Yeah.
case in point, this is just one other way to network, right? And we're just going one on
Absolutely.
one. So, but
Hmm.
if you go to a networking event, you might meet dozens of people in the same amount of time it took us to record this episode. So,
Well, and now I know you've said on other podcasts that people will recognize you, right, when you go to conferences, or you're really becoming a person who's known, and it might be tiring at times. I know you do a lot of work related to this, but ultimately it pays off. That then you're really you've established a reputation.
yeah, and that wasn't the plan in the beginning. The plan in the beginning was just to talk to attorneys and see what
Mhm.
happened. And then fast forward to now, it's like, okay, this is, maybe has some legs to it. But the
For
goal in the
sure.
beginning was just talk to attorneys, because we do work for attorneys. And that's always a joke. Like, yeah, I talk to attorneys all day, every day. And everyone's like, oh God, it's terrible.
I'm sorry you have to put up with this. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's rough.
But no, that's what I do. Clients,
Yeah.
guests, it's every day. So, but I appreciate you coming on to share. about this topic, and hopefully everyone out there picked up some good stuff, and will think about kind of what they're doing every day and week. Are they networking into it, or have they lost that because of COVID
Right.
and remote work? So I think that's important.
Absolutely. Well, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me, Kevin. And
Yeah.
we definitely have to keep in touch.
Excellent. Well, everyone tuning in, you can check Sally out. She's CM dash or hyphen or dash CM law.com. What's another way they can connect with you? LinkedIn, I assume.
Yep, absolutely. LinkedIn. If you want to email me, my email is smcdonald, like spelled like the fast food restaurant, at cm-law.com. And as I offered before, happy to speak with anyone who just needs anything up in New England. Happy to get to know you, happy to help you. And I love connecting with other managing partners as well. I actually started kind of a local group of
Oh, cool.
it's kind of like some of us, it's all relative, but younger, relatively speaking, managing partners. And it's been really amazing just to share ideas, and also, in particular, that's been interesting within our own market, right? Because, well, what are you charging or what are you paying your
Yeah.
employees? It's a little different asking, what do you pay your employees in Virginia? So it's good to have those local conversations as well. So I think
Sure.
just the more, more people you can talk to and get unique ideas from, I think the better.
Yeah, so like a little mastermind kind of group you got going on there. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
great. Mastermind with cocktails.
Yeah, to have cocktails.
Yeah.
No, I love it, and I think it's a great idea right there to get with
Mhm.
others, and especially in your area, your state, and what are you doing? What's working? Um,
Right.
so that's what this podcast is all about too. But you're taking it down to the local level, which I can't do. So
Well, you're going to
I love
have
it.
a bunch of new fans in Rhode Island, because I'm going to tell everyone in the
I want
group
to
the
know
same.
everyone in Rhode Island before the next week. So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I will not be your last Rhode Island attorney.
okay. Well, I appreciate it so much. Everyone, if you have a comment or question, please put it if you're on LinkedIn or YouTube or wherever you're watching this, Facebook. Reach out to me if you want to connect with Sally. I can do that for you, or tag her and follow her so you can connect on LinkedIn as well. And
Great.
Sally, stay with me. We'll chat backstage. Everyone else, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate everyone that watches these, and hopefully gets some little nuggets that they can use for their business, and appreciate it. So we'll see you soon.